Meant for each other, staring in her.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to my one-take review of the NAD M10 Streaming Integrated Amplifier. Cutting board not included. Anyways, guys, what you're looking at is supposed to represent the future of hi-fi. A little device that has good power that also comes with the kind of features that the modern audiophile is looking for. Features like a touchscreen and built-in EQ and an interface that's designed around streaming. On the back, we're going to find some useful inputs like HDMI, USB, and Ethernet. We also have some interesting outputs like a sub-out and a pre-out for additional amplification. Point is, NAD was going for a lifestyle one-box audiophile solution with this unit. You buy it, you buy your speakers, and then that's it, you're done. Unless, of course, you listen to physical media, in which case there are more boxes to buy. Anyways, guys, here's the deal. In this review, I'm not going to be focusing too much on features. In fact, if you're interested in learning more about what you get with the M10, just click on the description box below, and I'm going to have links to other reviews that did a great job of showcasing what you get. Because the whole point of this video is to talk about the performance, the sound. So getting right into it, here's what you can expect from the M10 when you listen to it. Overall, you're not going to get some of the audiophile tropes of having this bright and aggressive sound, nor are you going to get this supremely warm and bloated sound either. Instead, what you're going to get is something that's in between that. It's going to be balanced. The top end is going to be very smooth. You're going to get a slightly laid-back perspective to the music. The mid-range is going to be clear. It's going to take on a slightly dry character to it. And then the bass is going to be very strong and balanced. And that leads me to the individual elements of the presentation, starting with the treble. In my mind and in my opinion, this is the selling point behind the M10. It is so smooth and non-fatiguing. Even on the Klipsch Forte III, which, as you guys know, can get kind of aggressive, it's great. It's delicate, it's refined, it's airy, it's detailed, yet it is extremely non-fatiguing. And I think this voicing is very intelligent because NAD knows that most people are going to be streaming, and for streaming, it's good to take the edge off the top end just a little bit. And when you pair this up to something like a Harbeth P3 ESR, the Buchardt S400, mwah! The top end is like butter. It's just so smooth. Anyways, top end is really good. Moving on to the mid-range. So the mid-range is all about clarity and balance. When you listen to things like vocals, they neither sound too overdone or too underdone. There is going to be a slightly dry character to it. There's going to be that slightly cool tone, which is what you would expect from a pulse width modulation amp, but it's not really that overt, and overall you end up with a mid-range that has nice depth to it. And if you want just a little bit more warmth to the sound, you can add that, and it's a lot easier to add warmth than to take it away. So I think that was a very smart voicing decision, once again, on NAD's part. Then we move down to the bass. The bass is good. It's strong, it's tight, it's clean, it's not overdone, it's not underdone. It's probably the most accurate part of the NAD's presentation, and I don't see too many people complaining about the bass. If you have difficult to drive speakers, it'll handle those difficult thick woofers very, very easily. Now, moving on, let's talk about imaging. So I know a lot of people feel like amps have no impact on imaging, but I don't feel that's the case. For example, if you have a set of speakers that are capable of laying down a huge soundstage, you're still going to get that, although with this amp, it tends to make it sound like the presentation's taking place closer to the physical location of the loudspeaker. So the imaging is still good, it's just the information is going to be just a little bit pulled back. When it comes to dynamics are going to be very good. True to NAD fashion, there's a lot of headroom built into this amp, so even though it outputs 100 watts into 4 or 8 ohms, the dynamic power is going to be 160 watts into 8 ohms and briefly 300 watts into 4 ohms. So when it comes to microdynamics or even larger dynamic pieces, it's actually pretty good in that regard. Now, when it comes to power, it's interesting because even though it sounds like it's a pretty powerful amplifier, it doesn't deliver that power in a very muscular way. It actually sounds, quite frankly, like it's not 100 watts. In fact, people who listen at very loud volumes may need additional amplification with this unit. I think for most people in most average sized room, average speakers at average listening volumes, it's fine. It's just something for you to be aware of. And then there's going to come the music listening experience. So overall, I would say that this is a very balanced, smooth unit. and it makes for an easy match with not only a wide variety of speakers, but a wide variety of music types. I mean, NAD was smart. They knew that people were going to be using this for a whole bunch of different purposes, so they voiced it to sound good with pretty much everything, and that's exactly what they accomplished. And that leads me to my final thoughts here, because I'm not really the target audience for the M10. I mean, let me give you an example. I use this. Good luck using this device to stream to that right here. In fact, during the evaluation process, I used my reference point, the AMR 777 CD player, which is a $5,000 unit. But nonetheless, I get the appeal to this unit all the same, and I think when it comes to raw performance, it's good. It's very good. I think people who end up with it, people who are looking for a very smooth listening experience, they're going to have a lot of fun with it. Anyways, guys, that's going to be my take on the M10. Hopefully you took something away from this video. Stick around if you're interested in comparisons. If you're not and you've reached the end of the line, thanks for watching. And as always, until next time, peace. All right, guys, so this comparison is going to be a lot of fun because what I have are two integrated What I have are two integrated amplifiers that are designed to be versatile, yet, as you can tell, they're very different from one another. So let's dive straight on in. Up top, we have the NAD M10 Integrated Amp. So this is going to be our lifestyle solution. It's designed around streaming. It retails for $2,750. It outputs 100 watts into both 4 and 8 ohms, and it's made mostly out of plastic with just a little bit of metal around it, meaning that it's so lightweight that if you have a good throwing arm, you could easily chuck it halfway across a football field. Beneath that is going to be our more traditional integrated amp, the Parasound Halo Hint 6. It doesn't even come with streaming built in. It's more analog. It's going to retail for the better part of $3,000. It'll output 180 watts into 8 ohms and 270 watts into 4 ohms, and it's made mostly out of metal, meaning that if you were to drop this on your foot, you're no longer going to have a foot. So the big question is, how do they compare to one another in terms of sound? So first, let's start off with the similarities. Both have a slightly laid-back presentation, and both are all about having balance between the main frequency bands, meaning that the mid-range, treble, bass, all of it comes together very well. I do think the Hint 6 has a slight edge in that regard, but it's very slight. But when you look further, they're very different from one another. So the NAD has a much smoother, more refined sounding treble presentation. The mid-range isn't going to be as full. Instead, it's going to take on this dry and slightly cool character, but there's going to be good depth to the sound. I would say just a little bit more depth and layering than on the Parasound. The bass is going to be strong. It's going to be quick. I would say slightly quicker than the M10. Dynamics, going to be very similar to one another. Imaging, all that stuff is actually going to be very similar. Moving on to the Parasound Halo Hint 6. So the Hint 6 is going to have a grittier, rougher sounding top end. The mid-range is going to sound fuller, maybe a little bit warmer. There's going to just be more density to the sound. And then you have the bass. The bass is going to have a slightly warmer tone to it. Not quite as quick, but again, it's going to be about that density. So overall, you're just dealing with a different type of presentation. The NAD is going to be more refined and smooth, whereas the Parasound is going to be a little bit more gritty and muscular. Obviously, if you like to listen at loud volumes, this is going to be the way to go. If you're okay with listening at fairly moderate volumes or lower volumes, then an argument can be made for the NAD M10. Anyways, guys, that's going to be how they stack up to one another. So for real this time, I'm going to call it quits with this review. Hopefully you took something away from it. As always, guys, I appreciate you checking this out, and until next time, peace.